Well guys, it's the start of another year and there's already more drama involving the biggest Minecraft YouTuber in history. This time, he used the R word, which is a very offensive word abroad, was accused of being sexist by his former best friend, was accused of being manipulative and a liar, and even of sending adult content in a chat with a minor. What's different about this drama is that now it involves his former best friends who basically made a diss track against him in video format, putting the final nail in the coffin of his reputation. If you happen to have a social life and a job, you probably didn't hear about this, so grab some popcorn and come find out what happened. First, I think it's important to clarify what happened before this drama blew up, especially because I had no idea that Dream and Tommy had major disagreements, and this whole mess caught almost everyone by surprise. For those who don't know or don't remember, Tommy is a creator with over 15 million subscribers, a huge name abroad, who took part in a series of videos with Dream, including pretty much the entire Dream survival multiplayer, one of the biggest series in the game's history. And up until then, the audience always saw the two as best friends. But suddenly, at the end of 2023, they abruptly stopped interacting as often and stopped collaborating on videos and projects. Around that same time, Dream addressed this topic during a live stream while playing Minecraft. At first, it wasn't anything shocking. He said they drifted apart naturally, and though not close anymore, he still liked Tommy a lot. And alright, that's fine, but it was hard to really believe Dream's word. I mean, the guy lied for over a year about the legitimacy of his speedruns in a block game, so what would it be for him to lie about a personal relationship? And yeah, it seems like this suspicion wasn't unjustified. A little while later, during a podcast called Shut Up Because I'm Talking, started by Tommy and another foreign creator named Jack Manifold, Tommy and Feuds show up commenting on how everyone who used to make the big Dream Survival multiplayer series has drifted apart. During the conversation, Tommy refers to a very revealing tweet, especially when looking at it today. Context: this is about the Dream Survival multiplayer's peak in 2021 when Tommy was 16 years old. Within the series, he and Dream were the main characters, being rivals who fought in a drama over discs in the game, and of course it was all roleplay. After some event on the server, Feuds tweeted the following: "Dream is the funniest cellmate in Minecraft." And of course, Tommy, being his rival on the server, replied jokingly, "Feuds, considering that I helped you with the titles of your last 4 videos, I'm pretty upset about this." The conversation was lighthearted and joking around within the context of the game until Dream made an unnecessary remark later on. Tommy is like, "Let's deny that Dream taught me most of what I know about YouTube." And he showed an image of Tommy's reach before and after meeting Dream, taking credit, discrediting others, and being very disrespectful. In a podcast years later, Tommy admitted this event made him very apprehensive and unsure of how to handle the situation. And thank God that Feuds, a much more mature guy, sympathized with the boy and said, quote, "Just imagine taking credit for the success of all the creative decisions and directions of a creator just because you helped guide him a little bit." End quote. A great line from our hero who survived 5 years in hardcore mode in the same world for the uninitiated. The Twitter exchange I referred to between Tommy and Dream, which was the primary source cited in the podcast discussing their disagreement, has since been deleted. In short, few people were able to deal well with the strong and arrogant personality of the YouTuber. It's impossible to sustain a relationship with someone who constantly claims to be the sole reason for your success. That's not the right motivation for helping others. Dream is well known for being arrogant, proud, and childish. Now let's understand what really sparked the current fight, considering it didn't start today, so the glass had already been almost overflowing for a long time. It seems it all began with another segment from the aforementioned podcast. On the show, Jack Manifold asked Tommy who the worst person he's ever met is. Tommy immediately responded, "For me, it's very easy. It's Mizkif." And Mizkif, for those who don't know, is a foreign streamer from Texas, and honestly, there's not much more to add beyond that. People became curious about why Tommy disliked Mizkif, and Tommy stressed that he didn't like him from the start. He said that they met at an event in person, and he hated every word he said. And of course, that part of the podcast was clipped and sent to Mizkif, who reacted live and poured out massive amounts of hate towards Tommy, saying he was unbearable and that the brief interaction had been torture. However, after the stream, he confessed he was joking and didn't actually care about Tommy's viewpoint, admitting they didn't have much interaction and ultimately no one cares. Personally, I believe that's true, but what you guys must be wondering is, what does all of this have to do with the current drama between Dream and Tommy? Well, it's simple. The fact is, it escalated a lot. Whenever 2 big creators fight publicly, a bunch of other creators around them get involved looking for engagement. And it was no different in this case. A specific and very controversial streamer, XQC, whose face you've probably seen around the internet by the way, commented a lot about it and eventually said that Tommy was riding Dream's coattails to make jokes for teenage girls. And that was basically a pretty direct jab, since in recent years, Tommy has been investing a lot in live stand-up shows, and what XQC meant was that he took advantage of all the Dream hype to get to this point. And of course, like I said, it just kept escalating. A podcast question led to someone mocking it on a live stream, another person got involved, and Dream, a narcissist, made it about himself after seeing his name in XQC's post. He retweeted with a classic image showing a boy at a crossroads having to choose between two paths, and the caption on the image said that the boy represented Duran Stimpy's fans who had to choose between growing up or becoming silly fans of Tommy. Well, here we have 2 points. The first point is that this image caused a lot of controversy because it uses that R word, which is extremely inappropriate in the English language. However, the R word targets people with mental disabilities, which is deeply saddening and prejudiced, as no one is at fault for being born with a neurological disorder. This heavy word abroad often leads to even smaller creators getting cancelled. And just imagine what would happen if Dream, an internationally known creator who's a terrible human being, used that term. Spoiler, it didn't go well for him at all. The entire internet revolted against this, pointing out that Dream himself had said in the past that he didn't think it was right for a content creator to use that word if people felt offended by it. So besides what he said, he was being really hypocritical. And the second point is that up until that moment, he and Tommy didn't have any serious issues online. Yeah guys, once again, out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere, he got himself involved in drama for no reason and posted that image attacking the guy out of the blue. And in response to all this criticism, Dream spoke out on Reddit, basically the so-called social network that's the biggest open sewer the internet has without even needing to go into the deep web. Anyway, he said the following, quote, "I'm still genuinely confused about what the rules are. Honestly, I'm not trying to be obtuse, but several people went viral calling me from the R world and everyone explains that it's okay because they're neurodivergent. So, I see a meme that uses that word, I post it and I get absolutely slammed for it. Obviously, that's the internet being dishonest, but that doesn't completely invalidate people who might actually be offended. Most of the people who call me ableist for using that word are the same ones who set off fireworks when the voice actor for Gumball was the one throwing insults. The inconsistent standards are frustrating. It should be either acceptable or not. I have personal reasons for being bothered by Tommy's actions as the internet police. I expected backlash for opposing Tommy who lies about me, but I never intended to attack all Drone Senpai fans or be ableist. And oh, that I shouldn't use the R word under any circumstances, even if I see a funny meme and I'm autistic. Lesson learned, I hope I can be forgiven. Now, back to the programming. And yeah, as always, like it's been in the past few years, he always plays the victim, but this time it was just too much. In the case of Dream's post, he used an extremely malicious word, with no context at all, against his former best friend. Besides that, the guy is a content creator, he's internationally known and hated, he's already publicly stated that he's against the use of the R word, and anyway, there's no way he could be so naive as to think people would applaud him. Either he's really dumb or he's just pretending to be crazy. He deleted the tweet with the image and the Reddit post due to the public's negative reaction to the drama. The next day, he went live to discuss everything. The live stream lasts 3 hours, and while I won't cover it all, there's one thing I must mention. Tubble, Tommy's friend and fellow creator, joined in, sharing insights on past behind-the-scenes occurrences. At a certain point, he mentions that Dream sent adult content, 18+ content, explicit content in a Discord server they shared, but in this case, Dream was an adult and the other boys were not. And in this live stream that Dream did, he reacted to this and admitted that he did it, and his justification was, quote, "Tubble and Tommy begged to be treated like adults," end quote. No, it's not a joke. He also complained about being treated unfairly and mentioned attempting to reconcile with former friends unsuccessfully. And by that point, Twitter was already on fire, with everyone digging up old posts, old videos, old fights, old people, almost like a full plate for you to choose how you want to savor the end of Dream's reputation. And then finally came the match that was missing to amplify this drama even more. Tommy posted a video on his main channel simply titled Dream. In the video, he criticizes Dream for using the R word inappropriately, saying that the people referred to are family. He grew up from a young age with his mother working with people with mental disabilities. He explicitly calls out Dream and his friends, especially George Not Found, for being sexist, mainly because of all the backlash from George's cancellation last year due to the way he treated his ex-girlfriend. He raises a crucial point once more. He reiterates that Dream took credit and held it over Tommy for years for supposedly making his career, as we clearly saw happen with that old post. Tommy finishes by saying that he quit making Minecraft content because of people like Dream and mentions that his own mother was harassed by him while she was going through a divorce, but he doesn't go too deep into that topic. Well, look where this drama ended up. The conversation deteriorated from irrelevant topics only concerning the unemployed to troubling and sad accusations. But before we continue, a fair consideration is necessary. While Tommy's video lacks substantial evidence, his seemingly baseless animosity towards Mizkif is also a point of criticism. People blindly take the side that brings truths, but they don't stop to consider that there might be half-truths. It didn't even take 2 days for Dream to come out with a response video. Quote, "I apologize, but not to Tommy," promising title. Well, if we look at what our favorite middle school student prepared for us, he starts off by saying that he genuinely feels sorry for having used the R word. Then he goes on to comment that, for more than a year and a half, Tommy and his friends made jokes about the false paydo accusations against Dream, and he shows some clips of Tubble confirming that these jokes existed and that he personally didn't agree with them. Of course, spreading lies and making jokes about something as serious as pedo was pretty questionable on Tommy and his friends' part. That was undeniably a punch from Dream, but it was all downhill from there. Regarding the accusations of sexism, Dream simply cuts out the part where Tommy references George's case and says he doesn't even know what he's talking about. The guy took a video that everyone saw out of context, despite responding to it just seconds before. And about the part where Tommy talks about how Dream took credit for his success for years, the response was as follows, quote, "I gave you advice about YouTube because I believed you were extremely talented, dedicated, and had a big dream of becoming a YouTuber. That's why I selflessly spent hours daily discussing YouTube strategies and ideas with you, never using it against you." End quote. And yeah, things have already gone downhill here for a while, because if he spoke with that arrogant tone on Twitter, just imagine what he supposedly did in private. Dream also mentions a part of the video where Tommy argues that he contributed a lot to the growth of the Dream survival multiplayer. Dream accuses Tommy of hypocrisy because the argument that his participation in the survival multiplayer was indispensable would be just as arrogant and selfish since all the participants were important. And that's clearly a false equivalence. What Dream publicly claimed is that he was directly responsible for Tommy's creative decisions because of the advice he gave, and that's objectively false, since Dream's influence on the direction wasn't what made Tommy come up with Feuds' video titles, for example. Tommy, on the other hand, never said that the participation of the other members of the series wasn't relevant. He just said that his own was, which is objectively true. Another valid point from Dream is that in Tommy's video, he criticizes Dream's merch brand, implying his own is superior. Dream highlights that his brand is family run, while Tommy's brand has faced legal issues due to involvement in scams. That's true and a relevant point, but it doesn't justify the fact that Dream charges $50 for a hoodie with a smiley face on it. It even seems like a certain famous Brazilian store, but anyway, people pay if they want to, it's none of our business. Anyway, then he tries to ridicule Tommy's claim that his mother was harassed during the divorce and shows a screenshot of the conversation. In summary, it's basically Dream saying he doesn't agree with some of Tommy's actions, and honestly messaging a friend's mother because of internet drama is really annoying for Kalika in my opinion. And to conclude, Dream says the following, quote, and Tommy keeps mentioning the fact that he was 16 and 17 years old. "I mean, I was 20 and 21. I didn't treat you like a kid, I treated you like a friend and a colleague. We had occasional disagreements because I treated you as an equal. But from what you're saying, it sounds like you were 12 years old and I was some kind of evil overlord, not a content creator who was helping you with advice." End quote. And yeah, I think in the end, that's a great example of shirking responsibility. But would this attitude from Dream, of taking credit away from Tommy and bragging about helping him, still be inconsistent, even if they were the same age? Dream did have a very arrogant attitude, and besides, this argument that I saw you as an equal is very similar to what he used when he justified sending adult content in a chat with Tumble. The community now treats this repetitive and tiresome topic as a pure meme, like the Raluca knows something drama for the unemployed, and it has lost its relevance. Tommy recently posted a video on his channel where he sarcastically comments on his drama with Dream, makes jokes and throws shade, but doesn't seem to give it much importance anymore. He also used the opportunity to promote his stand-up show. In the end, the streamer Mizkif was randomly called out during the podcast and simply took advantage of the situation to trigger one of the biggest controversies of recent years through a rage bait. Giving a platform to unstable individuals is the goal of Pure Cinema. Find me on Instagram at Amin77.